Hello.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm doing okay.
That's good to hear. So, to begin, what is your name?
My first name is Elizabeth. I've been going by Illiad though recently, but I still think of Beth as my first name. So you can call me Beth or Illiad.
Okay. And did you choose that name for yourself?
I did.
Why did you choose that name over any other?
So Elizabeth Jean Newman is my full name, and Beth was always a name that was in my head for a long time, and it just felt natural to start going by it. When I first came out, I went by JD for about a year, as that was a nickname that I had growing up. That stood for my old name, and my dad always called me JD growing up, and it felt like a gender neutral name that I could go by for that first year of transitioning. So that was actually really nice to have that, because it's always, and it's still weird now, if like at my last job, they printed a name tag for me that said Beth on it, but a lot of customers had been calling me sir or using male pronouns for me, and to have a name tag that said Beth on it just felt very strange, and I just wanted to avoid that. Going by JD alleviated that, but I don't have that anymore, but it's okay. Because it also felt good to move past JD because it stood for my whole name. So. And then Iliad is, I kind of think of Iliad as like a artist pseudonym that I want to use for writing and for music, like a stage name kind of thing. And it's also gender neutral, which is nice.
Right on. So, how and when did you know that you weren't cisgender? And what was that experience like for you?
For as long as I can remember, there was something that I wasn't satisfied with about my body and who I was. I think I was probably 10 or 11 when I started kind of thinking about it a bit more. And I didn't know that transition was possible and everything that went into it. I didn't know anything about that until I was 18. But I think it was around 8 or 10, or probably more when I started going to middle school. I started thinking about what it would be like to be born female, and it was something that I started saying to myself, I wish that this were true, and I wish that I were a girl. Pretty much every night before I went to sleep, I would think about the day that I just had. I would kind of relive it in my head as a girl, and it just made me feel very peaceful to think of. To just think of my life if I were born female. And just like normal daily experiences as a girl is what I wanted. And then I found myself on some of the transgender subreddits on Reddit, and learned the truth about transgender people, that they're not because so much media had shown me these images of trans people that is not true at all. And I saw these beautiful people, real people that were transgender, and I saw how happy they were, and I learned about how it could be possible, I learned about hormone therapy, and just everything like that when I was 18. And as soon as I learned about it, I came out the next day to my family. So that was my experience with that.
What makes you transgender in your eyes? What?
What makes me transgender? I think what proves to me that I'm transgender. So I think gender dysphoria I think it's comparable to a lot of body image disorders, but it's also kind of the opposite in a lot of ways because a lot of people with body image disorders have talked about or described seeing something in the mirror and their perception is untrue somehow. They're perceiving something to an extreme. But with gender dysphoria, when I looked at myself in the mirror, I saw what I actually looked like, and I hated it, and I just felt disgusting. I don't know. It's a very powerful, very innate experience.
Mm-hmm.
And I think voice dysphoria was always my biggest source of distress. And I just knew that I wish that things were different.
Mm-hmm.
And something that proved to me more so than a lot of other stuff was that even if I were on a deserted island all by myself, I would still experience gender dysphoria. That it's not something really taught to you. It's something just in your personality that's just how you are.
Yeah. So do you need gender dysphoria to be trans?
I don't think so, because I think there's a lot of gender non-conforming people that don't experience dysphoria, and those people are real, and I don't want to discredit anyone that has that experience. All transgender means is you identify with a gender or lack of a gender that's different from what's assigned at birth. So anyone who's gender non-conforming, and like if there's an assignment at birth person who goes against all the norms about masculinity and everything like that, and if they are non-conforming to the point that male, the definition of male doesn't apply to them anymore, then I think that, and if they identify with transgender at the same time, then they're transgender. I think that's valid.
Okay.
That was pretty rambling, but
That was good. Good thoughts. How would you explain your gender identity to someone who wouldn't be able to comprehend your existence on their own?
I'm pretty comfortable being gender fluid, and gender fluid is an easy term to describe. I remember talking to someone about, I said that I was gender fluid, but I followed it up with gender fluid is just a term because I've gotten to the point where in my situation in my head. Like, gender has become just completely meaningless to me. I just want to wear clothes that I like, and I want to put on makeup. It feels comfortable to be called she or they for me. I'm a lot more comfortable being on estrogen than I am on testosterone. There are some feminine things that have also caused me dysphoria, which has like led me to just feel more comfortable in the middle. Because there's stuff on both sides that causes me distress to like fit in either side. So I don't know. I'm just a being in the middle. I like being androgynous. It's just I like the style. I like having an experience that not many people have. I'm just a being who likes wearing different things. Not that like clothes and style is all there is to gender, but
I said clothes had to be gendered anyway.
Exactly.
How was your family life before and after transitioning?
I had a pretty idyllic childhood. Nothing ever really went sideways in my life until I was 18. My parents have always been very supportive of me and my brother. My brother's only 2 years older than me, so we've always been pretty close too. So stuff was all in all just pretty calm and honestly kind of boring. I was always pretty quiet growing up. I mentioned voice dysphoria earlier. I had, like after puberty, I had kind of pushed my voice even deeper, like artificially. I'm still not totally sure why I did that. I think I was just trying to be a boy extra hard. I don't know.
So how would you explain your gender identity to someone who wouldn't be able to comprehend your existence on their own?
Well, I definitely experienced gender dysphoria about just being male and a lot of the male aspects to my body and being gendered male socially. And that's a very real thing that's been in my head my entire life, that I don't like being male. And that's kind of the start of it. And so my gender identity, when I first came out, all of a sudden I was able to explore femininity, and it was pretty cool. And I think at some point I realized I was still kind of unhappy with like being binary female, because I felt that I'd never really be able to like cross this barrier. Like I'm never going to be assigned female at birth. And a lot of feminine things I realized had been causing me dysphoria too. And so I realized that just being in the middle was a comfortable spot for me. I enjoy being androgynous. I still get gendered male by strangers probably like 90% of the time, but it doesn't bother me as much as it used to, because I feel like I found who I am just in my own state of mind, so it just doesn't bother me as much anymore. I think the term for what I am is gender fluid, because there will be there'll be sometimes where I feel really cool, like being a rugged, handsome adventure boy, and I'll grow my facial hair out a bit, and then like that's a little bit rare, but I might do that for like a couple days, and then put on makeup again and like wear a cute dress. Sometimes I want to be like a cute, flowery, dainty girl in a meadow, or sometimes I just want to be like scary, hot, goth, punk rock babe. It's just, I like being all of these things, and being gender fluid is something that matches that. That's what gender fluid is to me, because being like gender has become just really meaningless to me at this point, and I just like doing what I like doing, and gender doesn't really affect me, and I feel a lot more free and relieved. Like not trying to be something I'm not, and instead allowing myself to just be however I feel. And I think that's probably the best description that I can ramble off right now.
Right. Okay. So how was your family life before and after transitioning?
I had a very idyllic childhood. I have one brother who's just 2 years older than me, and my parents have been together almost 30 years, and always had a very supportive household. And it was almost a bit too boring. Like nothing ever went sideways in my life until I was 18, and I was a pretty quiet person growing up. And it was only like in the last year or two that I started being a lot more outgoing and extroverted. But as far as like household day-to-day life with my family, before I came out, like I was kind of fine just like trying to be strong and silent about everything that I was thinking about related to gender. But it was something that caused a very profound sense of shame for a very long time until I finally came out, and I think that was just because I had no exposure to real trans people. I'd only seen what like in the media and stuff, and I remember it must have been like health class or something. We were talking about like minorities, or we were talking about gay folks or something, and I remember thinking to myself like, wow, I'm a cis white straight man, like nothing's ever gonna happen to me. And then and then I remember my senior year of high school, I came to the conclusion that I was bi, and I was like, oh, okay, I'm a bi man. I figured it out. And I remember telling my parents, my brother, that I was bi, and I was like, cool, I did it. And that went alright. They're just fine with that. And then when I did come out, I definitely blindsided my family a lot, because I had been like, there was nothing that I really did like in the last 10 years that would like give any indication that I wasn't cisgendered. And they were both very surprised. My dad took to it pretty quick. He has a cousin in Seattle who is actually a gender therapist, and like that week got me connected with him, and I was emailing him back and forth for a bit, and then so my dad was like really supportive straight away. My mom took a lot longer. She had this mourning period for a son that she felt she had lost. And I understand it, but I still feel like it's flawed because from my perspective, I've always had these feelings related to my gender. She just didn't know about it. And the person that she knew, like, after I came out, she kind of like idealized the old me, and she was very much like grieving as if someone had died, and that really bothered me because I'm still here. I'm here today, and I'm still the same person. I'm just more honest. But like it took her a while to get over that, but she was always like still supportive about it. And like I remember we went like shopping together for the first time, like for girl clothes, and I was so fucking terrified. Sorry, is it okay to swear? It's okay?
It's fine.
Okay. Well, I was fucking terrified in the store because we were like looking at girls' underwear and stuff, and my mom was like being a mom and embarrassing me, and I was still like in the first year after I came out, so I did not feel comfortable at all like with anything gender non-conforming yet. I didn't know how to navigate it. I didn't know what to say if someone like wanted to pick on me or something. But my mom worked really hard on it, I realized, because I'm still their kid, and they're never gonna not be supportive of me. My parents are really good people, so I'm very grateful for them. And now, being non-binary is a lot harder for them to understand. I think the biggest thing honestly is just the grammar, like using gender neutral pronouns is just really hard for them. Because I think they understand like me being gender fluid. I don't know. Like we're still working on me being non-binary as a family. Like it's still a thing that we're working on together, but they're still supportive and good.
They're trying.
And they are actually trying, which is good.
Yeah, that's good. Good. What do you think is one of the most important aspects of your personal experience as a trans person, good or bad?
One thing that I've always talked about since I first came out was how I think a lot of us, just as human beings, have this self that we wish someday to attain, to be this person who has confidence, who has accomplished a lot of stuff and is productive and is valuable. And I think a lot of us have this image of this person who is not us, but we would like to be them, whether you're cisgendered or not. I think most everyone has this ideal, and I think transitioning and being transgender is just a very visible version of that experience that everyone goes through. And because of that, and because of the social implications of it, I think is just what causes a lot of the pushback against trans people. But yeah, I think that's one of the most important things to me, is that I'm just trying to be the best person I can be, and gender is just part of that for me in my personal experience. So, and gender dysphoria is something that I have in my head, and so putting that to rest is something that's just part of my journey as a human being. And everyone has stuff that causes them distress. Gender dysphoria is just one of them that can happen to a human. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's take a step back now, and I want you to talk about what makes you just like every other human being.
Well, I have a job, I drive to work, I drive home. I like art, I like listening to music, I like making music. I went to school with everyone else. I went through all these terrible math classes, and I have opinions. I have friends that I hang out with. I have trans friends and cis friends, and we just hang out like friends. We play video games, we'll watch a movie, make dinner together. I don't know. I'm not someone who has to live in the shadows, like how that was something that media kind of portrayed to me about trans people growing up, was that if I acted on my feelings of like wanting to be a girl or whatever, or not wanting to be male, I felt that I would have to dissociate myself from my family, that I would have to live in the shadows and like be this hermit who's like just completely cut off from everyone that I once knew. But it's not like that. I do what anyone else does, and I like having fun, I like sleeping, I like eating good food. I'm a human being.
God dang being.
Yeah, I'm just a being.
Okay. Well, just to wrap things up, what would you say to other trans people in the world right now, closeted or otherwise?
I think that if you are wanting to be something that you feel that you're not, or if you feel that people aren't seeing you how you want to be seen, there's always a way. I think there's always a way to feel okay, and there's real effort that has to be put into yourself in order to find that peace, and no one else can do it for you. So being taking a stance that you deserve to feel okay, I think is the most important thing. 'Cause for a long time, I remember earlier this winter, I was like things were going really well, and I started getting this anxiety that like something was going to go wrong, or that I was like, it was this like weird guilt that I was feeling. And it came from this weird belief that I discovered, or I think I knew that I had it, but I really like confronted it, that for whatever reason, I had this belief that I didn't deserve to be happy and that I didn't deserve good things. And I was trying to figure out why that was flawed because I knew it wasn't true. And I think a lot of it is just from our experiences growing up, because like I said earlier, I had a really good childhood. I have a really good family, and that's something that has caused me like a lot of guilt because I felt like I had so much that other people didn't have. And we all have different origins. We all come from different places. But we all absolutely deserve to feel okay, and we deserve to be happy, because why the hell not? And I think that's just it. Why the hell not?
Thank you.